He was just yelling on the train, when the guard ruthlessly ripped his clothes, then hung a death countdown around his neck, finally clamped a steel ring onto his arm. Without a word, he opened the train's small window, and shoved the man's arm straight through it. Instantly, the man let out a piercing scream, but 2 seconds later, he suddenly fell silent, because outside, it was minus 100 degrees Celsius. His arm froze solid in an instant. The guard's massive iron hammer was already poised. Only when the countdown ended, was his arm pulled back into the carriage. After confirming his arm was completely frozen, the guard raised the iron hammer. The man instantly wailed in agony. Yet witnessing this unfolding scene, the poor passengers inside the carriage dared not speak out, for Earth had already plunged prematurely into an ice age. 99% of humanity had frozen into ice sculptures. The remaining 1% of survivors crammed into this train that had been traveling for 17 years. But tragically, class divisions persisted aboard this very train. The wealthy occupied the front first-class compartments, living lives of extravagant luxury each day. The poor, however, were confined to the filthy rear, surviving solely on a black pastry. Not only that, the rich would snatch children from the poor carriages if the poor dared utter a single complaint. They faced brutal torture. Yet where there is oppression, there is resistance. Even cornered rabbits bite back. That day, the poor in the carriages could endure no longer. While the guards distributed the disgusting pastries, a bold man decided to risk his life. After 10 years of observation, he noticed the guard's gun seemed to lack bullets. To test his hunch, Curtis pushed through the crowd without hesitation, pointing the guard's gun barrel at himself.
"You've got no bullet!"
Upon receiving confirmation, the poor immediately hoisted a metal pipe and rushed toward the train door, successfully blocking it completely. Since the guards' guns were empty, they were swiftly overpowered by the crowd. But just then, a burly man brandished a massive sledgehammer, instantly terrifying everyone into retreat. A young man couldn't stand by and watch. He shed his cumbersome clothes and used his agility to dash before the brute, knocking him into a deep sleep. The group hurried to the train's prison car and rescued a trapped father and daughter. The man was a master locksmith, and his daughter possessed a unique skill. She could hear sounds through doors. After the man worked his lock-picking magic, the compartment door slowly creaked open. Inside, it was completely empty. It was their first glimpse of the outside world in 10 years. Everyone was stunned by the scene beyond, but now was no time for sightseeing. They had to break out before the guards arrived. Soon, they opened the second door. This was the carriage where the black pastries were made. Curtis wanted to see how the food was prepared. He was instantly horrified by what he saw inside. Their food was actually made from cockroaches. Just then, the girl suddenly sensed something, but it was already too late. Her father had finished unlocking the door. A group of guards now glared at them menacingly, just as the poor were preparing for a fight. The guards suddenly donned night vision goggles before the poor could react. The train sped into a pitch-black tunnel. The poor had become lambs led to slaughter in the darkness.